So let's begin by talking about the low barriers to entry. Already now we can see interesting things happen with Zen in its journey towards adoption. We hear testimonials daily of Xenians telling us how efficient Zen is to onboard normies. Parents, kids, friends who have known for years that their little buddy, which is you, are in crypto but never really understood what crypto was and when a Bitcoin is. And what is a Vitalik? Now, for the first time, being able to themselves interact with the protocol much more easily. And also in a safe way with self-custody. Zen minimizes the barriers for entry and puts them on a self-sovereign path and gives them the proper habits to navigate much more safely out there. Better resistant to scams through education. We hear it every day, guys. It works. Normies are being onboarded into blockchain much more easily. So let's start to discuss this path of self-sovereignty that we talk about all the time. First, we have these three basics that the normies need to understand in order to start. It's wallet, gas, and security. These are the minimum core fundamental blocks that they need to adopt in order to participate. Then, when they have this, they can continue to explore. And what they will explore is the tenets of blockchain, the first principles of crypto, which are decentralization, self-custody, peer-to-peer value exchange, counterparty risk resistance, transparency, permissionless systems, and censorship resistance. This collectively is the core value proposition that Zen can bring and offer, because this is what Zen protocol itself lives up to. When we onboard the 96% and also reschool the 4%, this is what we need to educate them in. This is the curriculum. If they master this, then they can become self-sovereign for real. So how does the path look like to become self-sovereign? Well, let's start by defining what we mean. First we have the normie, and then we have the end goal, which is to become self-sovereign. So the normie has little or no control, he's exposed to high risk, is governed by central systems, there are intermediaries in his trade, and there's no transparency. The self-sovereign individual is educated, can be much more safe. He understands the rules of the game, so to speak, because he can see it, because it's transparent. There are less surprises, there's less unnecessary uncertainties, and ultimately have more control over his own destiny. The path leading to the way of becoming self-sovereign is through education of this curriculum. This is how you transform a normie to become self-sovereign. The Zen value proposition is the road that the normie can take to become self-sovereign. He must study the curriculum, and your job is to help him with that. It's only when you do this right, it's only when you have this platform, you can then begin to explore the world of economic opportunity in a sustainable way. If you neglect any part of this path, you are going to sooner or later get wrecked, either by a whale because it's centralized, or by an unknown force you didn't see coming because it wasn't transparent, or by misalignment in incentives which you can't control because you didn't have custody of your coins. What's the point of acquiring millions of dollars if you can't be free with it? If it can be taken away from you in a heartbeat? If you can't move freely in society? You get censored for what you say, so there's no free speech. People see volatility in crypto and think they can neglect due diligence and just put money on anything, and then they rely on hope that the number go up forever. But you can only be truly self-sovereign if you can be in a system which lives up to the tenets of blockchain, the first principles of crypto. And this can only truly happen if you educate people about it by helping them on the path to self-sovereignty, because then they will see the systems that they interact with and how they react to their freedom. Zen is a tool to help us achieve this for everyone. People come in screaming, "There's no utility of the token 14 days after launch." Guys, utility will come, plentiful. And why? Because the reason we made this community so big already is because there is a need for a system based on these values. And they will opt in with the minimal barriers we have set up and wait for mint, and while waiting help to build a Zen vision and get educated along doing so. Because there is no other alternative, which is not more or less totalitarian. By the way, it would be cool to make this into courses somehow. If you have any ideas, just hit me up in Telegram. No paywalls for education, however. Satoshi's white paper changed the world forever. It made us start building an alternative system. But after 13 years, we only have 40 million accounts or so. We can't just sit around and hold hand and hodl and wait for adoption to take place. It's not fast enough, not by far. We have to start exploring alternative strategies to accelerate adoption of first principles of crypto. Zen can do that faster than anything we have seen. You have seen how fast we can spread this. After 14 days, we have 17 million accounts already. And yes, you cannot compare these 40 million to these 17 million. It's apples and oranges, by far. People have multiple wallets, we have bots interacting, etc., etc. But we do know we have a huge population already, and it's about to become bigger. It will adopt faster because the barrier is lower. Simple as that. If you're serious about the reason Bitcoin exists and what it stands for, you will also realize that Zen is not contradictory to the goal of spreading first principles of crypto. It's complementary, if anything. It will broaden the awareness of the first principles of crypto to everyone. So this is a suggestion for an onboarding process of normies, which we can call the onboarding process of a normie, version 1. And the process is simply, step number 1, of course, get a wallet, get some gas, and then you go and get your C rank. And in between you claiming your C rank and claiming your mint, this is the window of enlightenment. This is where you have time to educate and get educated about the curriculum before the claiming of the mint. This is your opportunity to teach normies about the first principles of crypto. So these are the topics you should teach them, and this is your window of opportunity. And then you go and claim your mint, and then you can utilize Zen. You can stake it, you can deposit it in DeFi, you can trade with it, etc., etc. So this is just an example, and criticism towards this tactic specifically include applying safety in the first step, since you could basically get hacked of your claimed C ranks within the window. But you know, there's a small discrepancy here between adoption and security to be aware of. I'm not going to tell you how you teach your kids. The community will iterate this together and find the best practices and iterate the onboarding process. I'm just throwing out a first version of an onboarding model intended for further discussion in the voice chats and everywhere else. This all goes under the concept of free education, digital ownership amplified. Zen is a tool to help a fellow human being with the lowest barrier to entry possible.